Hello, everybody, and welcome to a new view. I'm Maysam, and today we're going to talk about ISIS. Why was it developed, and what purpose did it serve? When you want to consider and think about issues such as ISIS, things related to humanitarian science, there are different factors that you need to consider. Sometimes it's not even sometimes even enough to look at the idea from only two perspectives. No, there are even more factors. Sometimes there could be 7 to 8 factors that some of them agree with one another and some of them don't. Political, social, and religious ideas are like this, or matters like this follow the same routine. So we need to look at things from different perspectives. In the issue of ISIS, we are dealing with a religious issue from one side, political issue, items that are totally political from the other. There are also national security matters to be considered in another side. Okay. When fighting ISIS, there are you can see different non-racial matters or groups that are involved in the fight against ISIS. Groups coming from Iran, groups coming from Lebanon, from Afghanistan even, and from different races. They're all gathered together to fight this. So when you see these all different races come together, you cannot ignore the social aspect of what we are dealing with. It's not possible. Thinking about the Western world, I'm trying to make a connection between matters here. Please be with me. When you think about the Western world, you should look at the matters from the self-interest, capitalist, or profit-seeking point of view. What does it mean? When when the people in the West are dealing with national security, geography, economics, politics, or different other things, the element of self-profit, self-interest is what plays the main role. So when you see different forces from the Western world united or making allies together, you need to look for something that they share, some kind of interest that they share. Maybe even you see that a country in the West, when they're dealing with developing forces, terrorists like ISIS, you may see that they are losing stuff on one aspect, but definitely they're winning stuff in the other. And this needs a very careful look. There are very intelligent, smart people designing plots like this to enter religious groups, people who pretend they're Muslims, but actually they're just terrorists. People who design plots like this are very intelligent people, and they consider many different factors in this. Well, for example, all of a sudden you see news and stories coming out in the media about one person that is apparently hurting that person politically or socially, but actually deep down it is benefiting that person. So we are dealing with different aspects. Point number one, Moshe Ya'alon, the Ministry of War of Israel, at the time. He, before all the things that happened in Syria in 2011, he attended a conference in Herzliya. I don't know if you know that Herzliya is a city north of Tel Aviv, and every year, annually, high-standing Zionists gather together from around the world. It's an international conference to make plots and schemes about the world. Moshe Ya'alon has a speech in that conference, and in that speech, he says, and I quote, in the 33-day war, when Israel was involved, Israel tried to attack what he says, rest of Iran. And he said that we were trying to attack we were trying to attack the forces that formed the resistance axis. And then he said that we consider resistance as a body, okay? And as a body has a heart, has brain, has head, and other parts, resistance also has this kind of members or parts. And Hezbollah in Lebanon is actually the rest of this body, which is grabbing our neck or our throat here. And in 2003, Israel said that, or actually Moshe Ya'alon said that, we attacked the rest, but while doing this, we ignored the fact that actually this body has an arm, and that is Syria. So Syria was giving energy and blood to this wrist, to this body, and then they can fight it. So was the Western world and Israel's concern really the elections and free elections and voting in Syria? If this is their real concern, why do they not ever talk about the situation and conditions in Saudi Arabia and Bahrain? They don't have elections. They don't have they don't even have a constitution. So Saudi Arabia uses Russians to send a message to Bashar al-Assad and telling him, you just say one no to Iran and we make you the king of Arabs. So that's the main issue. And also they sent the king of Qatar to Iran to give Iran this message. You give, and I quote, they said, you give us Syria and we give you Bahrain. And the message, the reply message from Iran to this request was that we never make deals about people's blood, nation's blood. And then the king of Qatar sent this message back to CIA. The CIA analysts, they say that the government in Syria can maximum fight against ISIS maximum for 2 months. And but the authorities in Iran said no. And even some officials in Iran believed the idea of Bashar al-Assad collapsing and the government removing, so that they were even in Iran, they were even thinking about making deals with the new government in Syria. The correct analysis in this issue is that what people are changing into is that they're having very, very little analysis about the issues. And that comes from social media such as Telegram, Instagram, and other social media. You can think of people's knowledge of the issues in the region as an ocean with very, very shallow depths, centimeters of depth. And this is the reality. The other point here is that about Ami Aylun. He was the head of Shin Bet. Shin Bet is the internal intelligence service in Israel. Ami Aylun repeats what I already told you about, and actually repeats the sentences coming from Moshe Ya'alon. And he said that, and I quote, in 2006, we couldn't finish the job. And you know that Mossad is the foreign intelligence of Israel, and apart from what they do about intelligence, they are also part of the foreign ministers of Israel. This is also, there is another intelligence service, Oman, in Israel, and they are very powerful. And they said that we couldn't finish the job. And this is what we're talking about. Ami Aylun, the head of Shin Bet or Shabak, says that we cannot fight this, I quote, monster, that he means Iran, he in this talk, he suggests a way to fight the power of Iran. And he said that we need to make a kind of barricades, a kind of a wall of Sunni populations. And this is happening, as you see. They wanted to make Sunnis as a kind of wall against the power of Iran. And Trump also, in his election campaigns, he said, and I quote, Obama and Hillary Clinton developed ISIS. Or also you may hear that ISIS in Pakistan was working together with Taliban and Al-Qaeda to promote them and strengthen them.
On the campaign trail today, Donald Trump blamed President Obama and Hillary Clinton for creating ISIS. Major Garrett has the story and a history lesson.
I call President Obama and Hillary Clinton the founders of ISIS. They're the founders. You get the MVP award. ISIS will hand her the most valuable player award. Her only competition is Barack Obama between the two of them.
Donald Trump's criticism that ISIS rose to prominence during the Obama administration.
So the heads of these terrorist groups, they are spies, but just they don't know people who work for them are poor soldiers. They do assassinations, and they carry bombs with themselves and kill themselves for ideologies like Wahhabism and stuff. Israel looks for one goal, or trying to achieve one goal in Iran, and that is because of the belief of Shia in Iran. Okay, and there's Israel's one eye is on the political Shia in Iran, and the other part is on a strong Iran. You see, I don't mean, I never say Muslims. No, they're, even if a non-Muslim system is in Iran, again, Israel has a problem with it and tries to separate cities or areas of Iran. And Israel has a problem with a high populated country in the region. And the other thing that they have problem with in Iran is the Shia Islam. They have different issues. There are four things that Israel doesn't like in Iran. That it is Iran, that there are Iranians living there, there are Muslim, there are Shia, and the fourth is the most important. After the Islamic Revolution in Iran, an ideology was developed that was called the political Shia. And from day one, people who developed this ideology, they said that we need to stand against Israel and the ideology of Zionism. And that is the problem that Israel has in Iran. Israel wants, in the Shia Muslim Iran, Israel wants it to be isolated and weak. They do it in two major ways to isolate and weaken Iran. Israel does it in two ways. One is to show and present a wicked and dark face of Iran around the world. And the other one is to cut any ties and relations Iran is trying to make with other countries in the world. There are different examples of this you can follow in history. The consecutive murders of political figures, opposition and others about Iranians. Whenever Iran is trying to make relations with other countries in the world, you see that unusual murders happen in the world against the opposition and other parties, political parties from Iran in other countries. Take Mykonos. People who were murdered in Mykonos case, they decided to come back to Iran. They decided to have a safe return to Iran. But unfortunately, they were killed. To send this message to the world that Iran has a dark, wicked face. And this is what Israelis do. Although Iranian government said, and I quote, that we were not aware of these killings, we will punish the people who were responsible for these. And Iranian government asked other countries not to expand these cases into political relations. But unfortunately, after a while, another issue happened, and that was the missiles found in Antwerp in Austria. And then in the end, they went so far as the German government announced that Iran is declaring war against NATO, unfortunately. So Israel wants to show the world a wicked, dark face of Iran. And that's why you see the riots and unrests that happened, or protests that happened in Iran. Our friends in Europe and other countries said that when we turn on the TV, when we check media, always the first news is about the riots and unrest in Iran. Then we have news about the New Year and Christmas and other news. They ask us, what's going on in Iran? This is when, for example, one of the cases is that there was an embezzlement or a financial corruption case against Netanyahu, and exactly at the same time that there was a riot in Iran. But what you heard in the media was about Iran, not there. So we need to ask ourselves, why is Iran so important for the world, for the Western world? Because Iran has oil. Other countries have oil. Because Iran is a Muslim country. There are other Muslim countries in the world. So what's the problem? What are they looking for? Why do most tourists who visit Iran, why do they come back posting this sentence? We have been lied to about Iran. For example, one of the most famous people among this list was Mark Edward Weber. He was the person in charge of the institution of reviewing history when and he's American. When he came to Iran and came back, he said, all your lives, people of America and other countries, all your lives you've been lied to about Iran. And he posted photos of himself in Iran and even his interpreters. The other plan that Israel made to hurt the Iranian government and Iranian people was to promote a luxurious life, a life without responsibilities, without values and others. When Netanyahu visited or was present in American Parliament years ago. He said, and I quote, if you want to hurt Iranians, if you want to damage Iranian government, he said that I told the CIA officials, if you want to hurt Iranians, make satellite programs, make satellite channels, and show Iranians luxurious houses, saunas, jacuzzis, all right, and this will hurt Iranians.
Something that Iraq doesn't have. Iran has, for example, 250,000 satellite dishes. It has internet use. I once said to the heads of the CIA when I was prime minister that if you want to advance regime change in Iran, you don't have to go through the CIA cloak and dagger stuff. What you want to do is take very large, very strong transponders and just beam Melrose Place and Beverly Hills 2050 and all that into Tehran and into Iran, because that is subversive stuff. They watch it, the young kids watch it, the young people, they want to have the same nice clothes at the same houses and swimming pools and so on. And that is something that is available in internal forces of dissension that are available in...
So, one of the other things that the West decided and planned to do against Iran was to develop a country in the region to serve as a second Israel. You know that there are different Sunni populated areas around the region of the Middle East, north of Syria, north of Iraq, west of Iran, south of Turkey. There are Kurdish, Sunni populated areas that exactly in neighboring areas of Iran, you see that there are homes turned into churches. And what were they promoting? What were they advertising in these churches? The evangelist Christianity. And what is it close to? It is closest to Judaism. You can never promote Judaism because it's against their laws. If you want to become Jew, your mother has to be Jewish. This is the only way. So it's actually a genetic thing. So we cannot, promote this ideology. So what do? They promote an ideology that is closest to Judaism, and that is the evangelic Christianity. So in Christianity, they develop evangelic Christianity. In Shia, they develop Baha'is, and in Sunni, they develop Wahhabis. Okay, they promote these ideas, all close to Judaism and against Iran. This is what they're doing. So actually, Israel is establishing a new country in the region, but serves different purposes for America, for Israel, and for England. One of these purposes is to gather a group of savage terrorists that bring shame to Islam, because they pretend that they are Muslims with their appearance, the rituals that they do, with the words that they say when they are committing murders. This is one thing they do. And then the other thing was they destroy Syria, then Lebanon and Hezbollah in there, and finally they were going to attack Iran. They came as close as to an area called Jalula, 20 kilometers away from the Iranian border, and Baghdad was about to fall. They got Samira, and when the Iranian general was visiting the area, there were 6 bullets to his car, and then the Iraqi forces agreed to stand with Iran against ISIS, and the plan was to insert ISIS into Iran and make what they did in Iraq, in Iran. What I tried to say in this program is to give you again, new view over a very, very dark plan that the result of it was ISIS. They never cease doing stuff like this. And we need to be ready for this. And I hope next time when, again, these savage people decide to do stuff like this, people are ready and not follow the news. Thank you very much for watching this program. Please, if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe, share our programs, and I promise we will come back to you with better programs. Thank you very much, and see you.